I'm Kayla Carroll. I am the Ori Council Day Camp Program Director this year for our Cub Scouts, and I want to welcome you to our first ever video training for our volunteer staff, and those would be the people that come to lead the stations at our day camps. I want to say thank you to all of you who volunteer to be on our staff. We actually do 29 days of camp over the summer, and we have about 3,000 boys come to visit us, and we have a new staff every day. So that means there's nearly 1,000 of you that come to lead these fun stations and teach the boys. And the better we can support you, the better you'll be prepared to teach them and to have a great day at camp. Let me give you some tips for the day of camp. Arrival times are as follows. If you're doing a one-day camp with the Cub Scouts, you'll need to be at camp at 7 a.m. at the various locations. And if you're doing a Webelos camp, either day 1 or day 2 of Webelos camp, you'll need to be there at 12 noon. The reason we arrive early before all the boys is so that we can unload the trailer and set up each station and just be ready for them when they get there. Then you need to bring a lunch with you and a water bottle. You can bring a camp chair if you want. And you can also bring a pop-up or an umbrella for some shade. We do have trees at most of our camp locations, but I can't guarantee that everybody's gonna get a tree. So if you wanna bring your own shade, that's great. If you don't need to use it, you can leave it in your car or whatever. Then at the end of the day, after the last station is done, there's 10 stations throughout the day. We'll load up. You can have your last group of boys help you pack your tote and clean up all the station stuff, and then you'll take it back over to the trailer and help us load it if you would please. That gets us all home a little bit earlier, and we're usually done loading the one-day camps by 4 o'clock, sometimes earlier, and the Webelos camps will be all packed up and ready to go home before 9 o'clock, I'm sure. So welcome to the videos. I'm going to go through each tote separately, and there'll be a video for each one. And we'll see you on your day of camp. Okay, this is the lab station. I hope you're super excited for the lab. It's going to be a really fun activity for the boys and for the station leader. You guys are going to love this one. When you go to unload the trailer in the morning, when you first get to camp, you're going to look for the tote that says the lab. It's going to have a better label than this on it. It'll say the lab, and it'll have all the contents listed. Then you'll go to your lab station, and you'll have at least one table, maybe 2 to set up on. And I'll go through the contents of the tote with you and then show you how to do each of the experiments with the boys. There's 2 trays in here. You really only need 1, but I'll probably leave both of them in there. We will have some eggs that are hard boiled, and this one is not, but we're going to hard boil the ones that we use at camp so they'll last longer for that experiment. You'll see in a minute. There'll be some cooking oil, napkins for cleanup, bags for garbage, peroxide, dish soap, some food coloring. And this one's for a different one. There's a fork, a little plastic cup. We need a glass bottle. A big spoon, a large glass, a bag of slime, these are for, I don't know. Some yeast, a measuring cup, a funnel, some Alka-Seltzer tablets, another glass.
The bags are for the pencil.
What?
The pencil poking.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, that's right. Some sharp round pencils and a sandwich bag. There's going to be 10 of these in your tote, 1 for each station. There's also a measuring spoon and measuring cups. if you need more of that. Right now I just have packets of yeast, but during camp we'll have bulk yeast, so you'll need a tablespoon for that. There'll also be a station write-up folder with the station write-up. Has instructions on how to do each of the experiments. It also has some resources that you can use if the boys have questions about how this works or why it works. I have a resource page right here. It's page 3 or 4 of the write-up that tells you why the experiments work. Gives you a little bit of the science behind it. These will all be in sheet protectors in the folder, so it'll be easy to access. And then we also have this color wheel, whirligig. Okay, so to go with the slime, in this box there are 2 sets of magnets. It's important that you keep these magnets not close together and that you don't take the sets apart. This is 2 magnets hooked together. Don't let the boys try to pull them apart, and don't pull them apart. In fact, just don't even tell them they come apart. They probably won't figure it out because they're super strong and they're hard to get apart. But yeah, don't put it next to your cell phone or your credit card because it'll wipe out the information on there. The other set is smaller magnets. There's 5 of them hooked together. Same thing though, don't let the boys try to take them apart. They will pinch their fingers, and these are super strong rare earth neodymium magnets. So, and if I put this one on the table, probably even this far away, they could smack together. So these I want you to keep very separated. Whoa, that just slid to the hinge under my table. But anyway, so keep those separated. I will have 2 bags of slime so that more than one boy can play at a time with this, and I'll explain that in a minute. So keep the packing for the magnets so you can wrap them up after you're done and put them back in the box. There are goggles if you'd like. It's really not necessary. Nothing's going to explode. But we will have fun with that. Now some of these experiments are for demonstration only. So this one, the elephant toothpaste, this one, the egg drop, is only for demonstration. I'm going to get this one going first because it sometimes takes a while for the food coloring to get where it needs to be. So this is the lava lamp. First you pour a little bit of water at the bottom, not too much, just a smidge. And then you're going to pour about a half a cup of oil into that. And I am going to use the measuring, no I'm not. Slowly pour it in on top of the water until your glass is about 3/4 of the way full. And then just let that settle. The water will go back down and they'll separate. It really is good to use the cup because then you can pour it down the side and it doesn't make as many bubbles, which is advantageous. I probably should have done that, but that's okay. And then you'll take a little bit of food coloring and drop a few drops in there. I think that we will take this out of this bottle because this bottle is wide open at the top and it's easy to get way too much food coloring in there, but I'm just going to pour a little bit in. And that's going to go down and mix with the water, but not the oil, which is really cool that it doesn't color the oil, it only colors the water. You can see that some of those bubbles are sitting on top of the water in the oil. So you want to kind of wait until all that falls down into the water. And if you drop them in, it'll take a little bit for that to happen. So as that's waiting to happen, I'll go into some of the other things. And that's what you can do. You can start this one first, wait till all the color gets down to the bottom, but move on to other things. Now this is a disappearing color wheel. It's got a bunch of bright colors on the wheel, on the string. You just twist this around until it gets really wound up. And probably a lot of you have played with these before. And then you pull it and release, pull and release until you get a good spin going. and the color disappears. They at least blend together. Now in perfect light and with the right shades of color, the wheel would appear to be white as it's spinning because your eyes can't keep up with the spin of the colors, so they all blend together. And when all colors blend together, we have white, because white is a mixture of all colors. So I'll have several of these in the tote. The boys can play with them after you're done with the demonstrations. We'll show them that. This one is a fun little demonstration. It's called the leak-proof bag. This one you will fill most of the way with water. And then seal up the bag. Now outside on the grass, I wouldn't worry about this too much. But right now I'm going to use my tray. Take one of the pencils, poke it through one side of the bag, and then just kind of push it through the other side. Well, we have a little bit of leakage. But you can keep poking pencils through, and you shouldn't have a lot of leaking going on. So I would add maybe 2 pencils and then let the boys add more later. Or just keep poking them all through, and this could be a demonstration. If you have leaking, because this is going to leak all over the longer we go, and I don't know how well it will sit down. I've never let go. That's not bad. So yeah, you could just leave it laying there. Let the boys poke more pencils in a little bit later. So that one's fun. The reason that works is the polymers in the bag are like strings, and when the sharp pencil pushes through, it just kind of opens those strings up, but then it seals around the round part of the pencil. If you used a regular pencil that has different sides to it, it wouldn't seal as well because it's not round. But then of course when you pull the pencil out, the fibers can't come back together. They're already pushed apart permanently, so that's how that works. This one, we'll do the egg drop next. Just check on our food coloring. It's almost all down there. This one I might need a little more water. Yeah, I'm going to get a little more water. Okay, so you fill this water glass about 3/4 of the way full. Then you take the pie tin and center it on the cup. Take the paper or the toilet paper tube, put it in the middle, and then you take the egg long ways and lay it on top of the paper tube. And then, with a very determined motion, don't be timid about this, you smack the pan, and the egg is going to fall right into the glass. So, the reason this happens is because of inertia and gravity. So inertia is the law that states if an object is in motion, it'll stay in motion, or if an object is at rest, it'll stay at rest until acted upon. And so I acted upon the pan and made it move, which kicked the tube out of the way, and the egg actually didn't move because there was no force acted upon it until gravity took over, and then it pulled it down into the cup. So this one, you can do it a few times over and over if you'd like, until the egg cracks. But since we're using hard-boiled eggs, you should be able to use it quite a few times. But as you can see, this egg is still intact, no damage whatsoever, and it is not hard-boiled. So that one's fun, and the boys will want to see it over and over to see if it really happens every time. I've done it every time and never had a problem. I did crack a few eggs because it would hit the side or something. However, at station leader training, I had 2 eggs break because people didn't hit the tin like they meant it. You got to really mean it and just slap that thing out of the way. So that one's a really fun one. Let's get this one going now. Almost all of that red is down there in the water. So now we're going to take an Alka-Seltzer tablet. And I would ask you that you only use 2 tablets per station. So we only use 1 packet per station throughout the day. That's a total of 10 packets a day. And we have 29 days of camp, so that, or 26 days of camp. So we're going to be going through 260 packets, so I'd really like you to limit it to 1 packet a day. You're going to break this into quarters. Those aren't exactly equal quarters, but just break it into pieces. And then drop one in and see what happens. It's going to create some bubbles, and those bubbles are going to pull the red liquid up. Now this happens because the water molecules are attracted to other water molecules, and the oil molecules are attracted to other oil molecules, but the two different types don't like to interact with each other. That's why oil and water stay separated. It floated that Alka-Seltzer right to the top. So they can watch that happen, and then that'll settle down as the Alka-Seltzer dissolves. And you can let them add more pieces later when they're doing their experimentation phase, because that'll just settle down, and so you can add more of that later. Then let's move on to the slime. So the slime, you'll want to keep it sealed in the bag just so it doesn't dry out on the hot summer days until you're ready to use it. And then, of course, after the station's over, put it back in the bag as you're resetting for your next group. But it's just homemade slime, but it's a special slime. As you can tell, it's black, and it's going to react to these magnets in a little bit different way. If you set it close to the magnet, you'll see it reach out and grab that magnet, and it's going to keep going because this is magnetic slime. It has synthetic iron oxide in it, and with the strong earth magnets, it just pulls that slime right over the top of it. It's pretty cool. Now if you lift it up, you can see how it makes that slime manipulate. And this is really cool. If you set it on there like that, it just swallows it right up really quickly. So that's fun, and this is something that the boys can touch and play with afterwards. Just like I said, make sure they don't try to pull the magnets apart and that they don't put both sets of magnets together. I will have two things of slime, so one can be at this end of the table, one can be at that end, or if I have two tables, you can have them separated like that. But I'll show you that the small magnets are really just as fun as those big ones. So that's something that they can play with when it's their turn to do stuff. And they can set it on the table and see, you know, you can watch the slime reach out and grab that magnet. It's pretty fun. When they're done, just put it back in the bag, seal it up, and then keep those magnets far away on the table. Because I will show you, I mean, oh, there's a, yeah, so you don't want to, if you do have to separate them, slide them off each other like that, and then just keep them apart. All right, now like I said, you can add another Alka-Seltzer piece and it'll fuzz right back up and create more bubbles, and they can add those afterwards. So let's move on to the elephant toothpaste. This is a really fun experiment. So with this one, you're going to pour a half a cup of hydrogen peroxide into the bottle, and I don't have very much of this left, so I'm just going to use what's left in the bottle. So I've only got maybe a quarter cup if we're lucky. But usually I would measure out a half a cup in this little orange bottle. You can use the funnel to pour it in if you'd like. But that's all I've got. And then just a little squirt of dish soap, just a small one, just that's plenty. And then a little bit of food coloring to make it fun. Again, we're going to put these in different droppers, and I'm just going to use the red again because this one's not open yet. Okay. Then we're going to mix our catalyst. And I need a little bit more water, so I'll go get some water. If I can manage a way to get you warm water, I'm going to. So a little bit of warm water in the cup, maybe not even half. And then 1 package of yeast, or 1 tablespoon. And then just use the fork to whip that up so that it's not clumpy, because you want it to pour down to the bottom of that bottle and not be all clumped. Can you move that over to the sink, because I don't want it to be all gross. Okay, so when you have that all mixed up, you're going to pour it into the bottle quickly and then watch the reaction happen. And it'll happen pretty fast, sometimes before I can even get all the yeast in the bottle. And I'm hoping that there's enough. There we go. And we have elephant toothpaste. When you put a quarter or half a cup in the bottom of the hydrogen peroxide, you'll have a bigger foam reaction because there's more there to react with. Now this one, you'll want to mention to the boys that this creates a exothermic reaction, so this foam is hot. It's not hot so it can burn you. You can touch it, but it is warm, and which is pretty cool. So then at the end of the station, you need to clean all this up and reset for the next time. Now for this, the boys will have put all the Alka-Seltzer in there, and give me a gallon bag. There'll be a gallon-sized bag in your tote. That's to pour this oil in, and you just need to keep pouring it in that same bag until it's full, or until the end of the day comes, whatever happens first. There should be plenty of room in the gallon-sized bag for the equivalent of about 5 cups of oil. So, just put it in that bag. So just pour this out into the bag. Seal it up, put it in the tote, wait for the next station, you can do it again. And then just wipe this out as best you can. You can rinse it out in the spigot. Most of the locations have a spigot with a hose, and I'll put the lab close to the water source because you'll need water all day. Oh, yeah. Look, you can use a pencil to wipe out the bottom. And then we'll also have little bags in here that you can use for garbage. If you need something bigger than that, let us know and we can help you out. So just put that in the trash, dump out your water. So through the most of the day, you can just reset this. You won't have to dry out the cup until the very end of the day. Check your egg, make sure it's reusable. Just reset the table so it looks tidy. Rinse out your yeast cup. You need to rinse out the bottle and the tray in between each station. And then at the very end of the day, get everything cleaned up, dried as best you can, load it all back into the tote, and then take the tote back to the trailer and help us load the trailer so we can all go home. There'll be 2 of you, a station leader and a station leader assistant. It would probably be a good idea if after you get the demonstration part done, so right now the boys would be playing with this stuff. They can do the whirligig, they can play with the slime, they can add more Alka-Seltzer, they can push more pencils through the bags. While they're doing that, one of you could take this over to the water and rinse it out and get that ready so that at the end you can reset pretty quickly. So that's the lab. Read your station instructions so that you know how to present it, and if you have any questions, just let us know, and we'll be there to help you out on that day. But we're excited to have you to come to camp, and we'll see you there.